Have you ever wondered what phylum humans are organized under? Well, we're not the only chordates. The phylum Chordata, which comes after the eukaryotic domain and kingdom of Animalia, can be divided into 5 common classes: fish, amphibians, reptiles, mammals, and birds. What sets these classes apart? Well, let's start with fish. Fish come in all shapes and sizes and all sorts of diets. From carnivores to herbivores to omnivores to detrivores to even parasitic fish, and are classified between jawed and jawless vertebrates or gnathostomes and agnathans. There are 120 species of agnatha, but only 2 orders consisting of hagfish and lampreys. Jawless fish are described as eel-like and have circular mouths with inner rows of teeth that suction onto their prey and shred them apart. Jawless fish also lack paired fins and are therefore the most primitive type of fish. Jawed fish, on the other hand, are much more evolved and have caudal, dorsal, anal, pelvic, and pectoral fins. Caudal fins, or tail fins, are responsible for forward movement. Dorsal, pelvic, and anal fins stabilize the fish, and pectoral fins are responsible for directional movement. Another unique order of fishes is chondrichthyes. These fish have cartilaginous skeletons. Most are predators, and stingrays and sharks are included under this order. From fish came amphibians, which were able to survive on land. You may think that because amphibos, the Greek word that amphibian is derived from, means a double life, that all amphibians can live on both the land and in the water, but that term actually refers to the difference between the tadpole life stage and adult life stage of amphibians. Not all amphibians can actually live in both mediums, so how can amphibians breathe if they have lived through 2 distinctive life stages? Well, they have several options. Firstly, they can take in oxygen through their skin, with the one condition that the skin must be moist. This is easy since amphibians have smooth, slimy mucus-covered skin that is able to stay moist because they dwell near water. Similarly, amphibians must also take in water through their skin. Another way that amphibians breathe is through their lungs, although it's not the best method of breathing for amphibians, as they are simple sac-like structures, which are nothing like the spongy, more sophisticated lungs that mammals have. Finally, amphibians can breathe through their gills. This mostly applies to tadpoles, though, because most amphibians do not have gills in their adult stage of life. As for reproduction in amphibians reproduce sexually and can reproduce with either internal or external fertilization. To attract mates, in frogs at least, the male will croak loudly to intimidate other males and attract female mates. Every species of frog has a distinct croaking sound. As an example, here is the sound that the pickerel frog makes, Fowler's toad, green frog, and the classic bullfrog. You may have heard that humans have vestigial third eyelids, but do you know where they come from? Well, amphibians have a third eyelid that is partially transparent. When they swim, their third eyelid covers their eye so that they can still see underwater, but the water is prevented from getting into their eyes, like goggles. As you will learn about later in this video, reptiles are cold-blooded, which means that they get their heat from their environment. And just as amphibians are also ectotherms, they too regulate their body temperatures by absorbing heat from the sun. You may know that birds are most closely related to dinosaurs, but did you know that flying dinosaurs, such as pterodactyls, are actually not classified as dinosaurs? This is because of their ability to fly, and that their front limbs stretch out to their sides, but they are still reptiles. So what makes a reptile a reptile? Reptiles are air-breathing vertebrates covered in special skin made up of scales, bony plates, or a combination of both. There are 5 orders of reptiles: Squamata, consisting of lizards and snakes; Chelonia, comprised of turtles and tortoises; Crocodilia, which includes crocodiles, gharials, and alligators; Rhynchocephalia, which only contains Tuatara; and finally, Dinosauria. All reptiles are ectothermic or cold-blooded, which means that they have to regulate their body temperatures using their external environment. The name cold-blooded is actually a misnomer though, as reptiles like to keep warm. Because they are ectotherms, certain behaviors arise in reptiles, known as thermoregulating. For example, most reptiles will bask in the sun to increase their body heat, and even some snakes are known to burrow in the ground just to retain heat from the earth, while others hibernate if it gets too cold for them. Although some reptiles live near the water, some are reluctant to go in because it would decrease their body temperature, and because they don't internally regulate their body temperature, reptiles don't need to keep their metabolism nearly as high as mammals do, so they don't eat as often. If amphibians are still dependent on water, then how did reptiles make the change to land? Well, the innovation that started it all is known as the amniotic egg. If you're not sure what that is, then think of a chicken egg. It has a hard shell with a yolk inside, but when fertilized, it contains a living embryo, amniotic fluid, amnion, and so much more. And of course, the shell. It's called the amniotic egg because of the hard shell that protects the embryo. The appearance of the amniotic egg allowed reptiles to lay their eggs on land and become terrestrial animals. A special order of reptiles is Rhynchocephalia, which only contains Tuatara. Tuatara are a species of reptiles that only reside in New Zealand. The species Sphenodon punctatus is the sole surviving member of its order. Another interesting order of reptiles is Dinosauria, from which birds originate. Interestingly, birds evolved from completely flightless dinosaurs, known as theropods. The theropod family had many reptilian members, some of which even had feathers and three-toed feet, which are similar to those of a bird. The Archaeopteryx was a distant cousin of the theropods and was the first bird which had both reptilian and avian traits. In addition, the Syrincis sentensis, which was discovered in China, is thought to be one of the first birds to fly. So how do birds fly? Birds' wings are designed for air to move quickly over the top surface of the wing in order to reduce air pressure on the top of the wing, which lifts the bird up. The tilted angle of the wing is important as the downward motion of the wing creates a reaction from the opposing force that pushes the bird up. Some birds need to fly faster in order to maintain lift, and this is known as wing loading. The larger the wing area in relation to the weight of the bird, the less speed required to keep the bird flying. Most birds aren't constantly flapping their wings though, as gliding preserves energy and allows birds to travel at a constant speed. Even though birds have evolved from reptiles and reptiles have very low metabolisms, birds have evolved to have 4-chambered hearts. This allows them to have a fast metabolism and to be warm-blooded. Their large hearts and efficient circulatory systems makes their blood flow faster through their veins and keep their heart muscles working. Another class of animals with 4-chambered hearts are mammals. All mammals have an undercoat and guard hair, jaw and ear bones, 4-chambered hearts and diaphragms, and complex brain functions. A characteristic that most mammals share, however, but not all of them, are mammary glands. Female mammals produce milk with their mammary glands, and the only mammals that do not possess mammary glands are monotremes. A well-known example of a monotreme is, as I'm sure you've heard of, the duck-billed platypus. The platypus is a monotreme because they do not have live births and lay eggs instead. Monotremes are the most primitive class of mammals, but they are only one of 3 subclasses. The second subclass of mammals is marsupials. The defining characteristic of marsupials is that they have incomplete births, after which the offspring finishes development in its mother's pouch. This means that they have shorter gestational periods. Marsupials are found mainly in Australia and New Guinea, although 3 families, including the opossums, live in America. The final subclass of mammals is placental mammals. Placental mammals, which we are a member of, are known for having a placenta during gestation. The placenta provides nutrients for the fetus and clears its blood of toxins. Well, that's all I have for today. I'll see you in the next one where I investigate the effect of switching human kneecaps with cow knees.